founder and CEO of a leadership development and consulting company that creates value at the intersection of change and emotion in the workplace. So a big part of my work is understanding how emotions can affect communication in business, notably during times when communication is key for success. And right now, I'm about to share with you 3 meaningful effects that emotion can have on your communication. And the sooner you can understand these dynamics, the sooner you can begin improving your communication skill set to influence and empower. Let's get it. By the end of this video, you're going to have knowledge of 3 effects that your emotions might be having on your communication effectiveness. But not only that, you're going to come away with the so what of each one, meaning why it matters and what you can do to begin improving your communication skill set moving forward. The first effect is suffocated communication. Emotions like fear or anxiety can stifle or suffocate communication. Risks aren't communicated. Mistakes that are made aren't shared or spoken about. Those uncomfortable conversations aren't held. Perhaps those individuals who haven't been performing in our organizations keep getting passed from one manager to the next, with no one really speaking up about what's been missing from their work and holding those individuals accountable to rise up and deliver. These types of emotional energies can hold our voices silent as we mentally envision what might happen if our voices are actually heard. So what? Well, stifled communication can actually result in the erosion of a cohesive and collaborative culture, in the delivery of our business results, and in the trust that's distributed throughout the organization. To avoid this, choose to use your voice to acknowledge and identify the emotion that you're experiencing, and then move forward in speaking up and having those conversations. As an example, when facing an uncomfortable conversation with a peer or a colleague, one that you don't really want to have, perhaps preface it with saying, "This is going to be a difficult conversation. I know that. But I also trust that we're both going to be better for it by engaging in it." That effectively will acknowledge that the emotion is present, will prepare that individual that you're asking to engage in the conversation, but then will create permission to actually engage in the conversation. Another example might be when you're faced with having to share off-track results or maybe a failure or a mistake that you've made in your work. Perhaps begin the conversation with, "To be transparent with you, I've been feeling anxious and haven't been able to sleep all night because of the results that I'm about to share. But I know that it's important that we get it all out on the table, that we discuss and that we align what's here to learn and what are our best actions to move forward." The second effect is clouded communication. This is the effect that probably happens more often than the others. When we are experiencing a lot of emotional energy, our communication and the words that we're using can become a little bit vague. We can want to kind of talk around the subject or around the topic, and it can leave what we're saying up to far too much interpretation. It can also make for a misalignment in what we're intending versus the impact that those who are hearing the communication actually experience. So what? Well, your power, your ability to influence another, rests on your ability to clearly communicate and align what you're intending with the actual result. Now, in no way am I suggesting that you rid yourself of your emotional energies or strive to suppress them or ignore them or pretend that they're not there. This is more like a delicate dance that really takes practice. It takes practice to be able to still embody those really difficult emotions while still being able to present and communicate in a very clear and succinct way. And just as I mentioned in that first tip, there's a lot of power to giving voice to the emotion that you're experiencing. And it almost is like it grants yourself permission to get into the meat of your communication and allowing you to think a little bit more clearly. I know it happens for me. Whenever I'm feeling frustrated or angry in a certain situation, if I just give voice to that to begin with, look, I'm feeling very frustrated, I'm feeling pretty upset in this moment, then it allows me to really focus on what I want to convey, speaking very honestly and candidly. By giving voice to the emotion that we're experiencing at the start of a conversation, it's almost like it gives that emotional energy a place to rest so that the conversation can continue a bit more clear-headed and clear-minded. So, by the way, if you're digging this, drop a comment for me below. I love reading the thoughts that you have that's been inspired by listening to this content. So drop a comment in the box below. All right, let's get back into it. The third and final effect that emotions can have on your communication is inspired communication. The inspiring communicator, allowing your words to float on emotions like joy and excitement and gratitude. It can be so moving, inspiring, and really motivating to those around you when you can allow that energy to color and paint the words that you're expressing. So what? Of course, you're not always going to be filled with gratitude and joy and excitement because you're a human being and we're talking about work after all. But when you are in those moments feeling gratitude for another, feeling excitement, anticipation about your work, use that energy when you're conveying your messaging. And the other thing that I'll say about inspiring communication, there's such great power when we can express vulnerability. And actually, it can inspire individuals to engage moving forward. So even when you're feeling those difficult emotions, when you can acknowledge it, when you can name it, and actually share with your organization, with your peers and your teams, what you're choosing to do in those moments as you're feeling those more difficult emotions like frustration or fear, that can inspire them. Not only to perhaps share that they're feeling something similar, but also to allow you to be that point of inspiration for them, to engage in the work and move forward in the most effective and productive way. Okay, before you go, I got something for you for free, no dollars. You don't have to Venmo me. This is all for free. I want to share with you a recording snippet of a keynote message, a keynote that I delivered to a client going through a significant amount of change and a lot of market volatility. Now, specifically, I want to share with you the portion of the keynote where I'm talking about inspiring and leading others to grow through big change and big disruption. And one of those elements has to do with the way that you communicate. It's pulling insights from our latest research at Change Enthusiasm Global. I want to make sure that you have the data, the research, the insights to fuel your growth when moving through your toughest change challenges. I'm Cassandra Worthy, and until we meet again, keep growing and keep rocking.